Good morning. Today we're going to be checking in on XRP, some background data, and the Sigma coin. So, all right, yesterday we were watching our setup here where we were moving into our fifth wave to the downside with a falling wedge pattern for wave 3's finishing, completion of a wave 4 triangle, and we started our short yesterday up in this region, and unknowingly did not expect that we were going to have all of this play out here today. I don't think anyone did. So so ultimately, this is now the completion of the flat that we've been looking at. So zooming out, this is what we got. So here we are on the Binance chain. You can actually see how just absolutely insane this flat was. Got it down to 77 cents. And this, ironically, has still actually validated and kept everything in proper count for the completion of wave 1 here for XRP itself. And then now we're actually turning around and we're moving back into, we've completed now wave 2 with a larger flat structure that happened in the span of 20 minutes. So we did not, I personally did not expect that level of breakdown to manifest. So that quickly, I should say. I mean, we had this in our sights as one of the options through X-Force's kind of discussions, but did not expect it to happen this quickly within the 20-minute window. I mean, we knew we were going down, but again, woo, okay. So some exchanges held up better than others. I mean, Binance getting down to 70 cents is pretty incredible. We had talked about this. Now, what's really intriguing is this entire order book down here is cleared, and everybody who was long, who had stacked up through this region, has been completely taken out. And we've basically held the higher low, and probably on Binance, we probably even hit a fib level pretty consistently here. So let's see if we got that. We got that, and let's do the fib up here, and we've got ourselves a back test of the 702. So right into that region there. So all right, and it may be a little off, but anyways, close enough. So yeah, there we go, 702, almost to the button. So now that this is done, the leverage has been completely removed from the system, and so if new leverage is built for longs, the fact that we're up here at $2.46 means that, in my opinion, because people have been asking, they're like, well, how do we move up from here with all of these billions of dollars liquidated out of retail, everybody who was in this asset? And the answer is that this is now the new floor. No leverage is down here to sweep. All the leverage is above in this region. And so the question really comes down to, do we have a new floor base built? So when new leverage does come into the system, this is when we start moving up for our next wave 3 move to the upside right here. So we just continue marching out of here. And what's also intriguing, which we'll show later, is how this actually ends up resulting in potentially higher price targets because of the depth of wave 2 no longer being here, but down here, you actually get a longer Fibonacci through the other side. So very intriguing setup. We have this kind of overall play out. So now let's zoom into what we're looking at here on the short-term timeframes. So zooming out of these regions, here we have this just kind of slow chippity chop as everybody just kind of, all the leverage was gone, and then it's just been grinding through as new leverage and new positions are being opened. And what we're going to be looking for is we're going to be looking for the 5-wave move off the low, right? So I can kind of almost see that we might be starting to see something happen here like that, like a rising wedge pattern. We'll have to look and let this price action play out a little bit more. There's even a chance that this is the ABC that's already starting to play out here, that is completing and wrapping up. So if we stay higher and after closing these gaps right here at this level, because we've closed every gap thus far, this may actually already be the completion of wave 1, wave 2 on our ascent out of this region. So, so the overlap is good because we're not really leaving any gaps to come back down to. And here's an example of how this looked for the XRP price action here back when we hit the lows down here, which was $1.60 after the first large ABC pullback. So zooming in on the lower time count, you can see we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves to the upside, which ultimately is what helped us cross our moves out of here for a wave 1. And then we had a shallow wave 2 completion that also was a flat that we ended up having with a leg down, B leg up, and a C leg right here. Actually, no, there's the C leg completion. There's your B leg red there. So A, B, C. So there was yet another flat sideways chop. So once we get back up into this region here, which would be the equivalent of right up into this zone right up here, we can expect that we would kind of wick and break above, and then everybody who was trapped in here and didn't want to do this anymore can start exiting into this region. So we would be looking at moving back up into the potentially these 80s and 90s as we continue grinding our way up. And the more chop we do, the less likely we need to come back down, which is going to be equivalent to here. Now, were there signs that this was a potential setup? Yes. X-Force told us for 6 months back in May is when I believe he first started telling us that that was there. 2, we also have this open interest. So open interest on XRP should be down towards this low. Notice these 3 lines here. Right now the open interest is all short. There is no longs. And with this being said, you have this setup here where the breakdown had exceeded the healthy open interest level. So here's our breakdown. Here's our price action. We're just going to kind of look, we'll minimize these two so we can get a bigger picture of what it is that we're looking at here. And if we zoom out, you can see that here on the 4 hour, we had gotten open interest fairly healthy. Then we overdid it to this ascent, and then we never really came back into the healthy region of the open interest. Oh, we now have actually, which is great. And then this liquidation took out everybody who was playing through this whole portion here. And that's why it was corrective still, is because it wasn't organic buying of the asset. It was in fact open interest that was leading to this higher level here. And because it was elevated since June, that's what led to this capitulation event, is because it wasn't sustainable versus all through this region we were healthy. Now notice too, we'd done this in the past here. When we ascended the first time from 50 cents to $3, and open interest got way done, and then we had this big liquidation cascade, and then we were kind of healthy ever since then. And so this was kind of the tell that we were over finished to this level, and then we just kind of ramped this up, and we were complacent for 4 months. So the fact that I didn't really pay this heat anymore simply was due to the fact that it just stayed up here so long, which was similar to what we had done back here on our way up, and it was actually not detrimental here, but over here you can see wabam, it's horrible. So so now this is back to healthy zone for the open interest on the 4 hour. So we've made it back down. We're now healthy. This is spot buying, new leverage being built, and in potential for us to continue higher because of this setup here. But this is what the tell was, very subtle in the background, that I failed to fully give weight to, and now you can see what happens. So now we did know ultimately that yesterday was a rollover. I just kind of personally, took profits here, flipped long way too soon, was in profit briefly, and then bam, it was just gone, right? And so I just have to get it back up to 275 for me to be in position. And they did liquidate me slightly, so I ended up taking a loss on a portion of my contracts. But that's why I'm glad it's only 2.5 times leverage, because it wasn't out of control. So so now we jump over to like the aftermath of what is Sigma doing here. Now this is really intriguing, and I wanted to show you this part as well. So here's basically the reclaim to where we were yesterday. Not much of a we had the smackdown, the reclaim, and a lot of this was due to XRP. You can even see that the volume for buying was at 7,800 buys came in, but then 3,500 sells were actually part of this, and so we actually had more buyers step in and reclaim a big portion of this. But really what I wanted to show you is we've had our targets, right? So here's the 618 expecting us to get to 56.75 million, right? But this was with this lower low that we had tried before, but now we have actually set a new lower low on the market cap. So look what happens. Instead of it being the 68 or 58 million market cap to the 618, we are now 77. So ironically, when you get this pullback, you end up getting a stronger bounce than you would have otherwise. So we jump over to here, right? If we had completed, so we see a back test at the 702, we have that. We've got our wave count. We were thinking this was the completion of wave 2. So when we do our trend-based fib tool, and we grab this guy, and we put it in here, and we say, okay, we're going to be going from our wave 1 low down here, and we're going to be going up to the top of where we thought wave 1 was, great, which it is. And we come down here to this wave 2, we start seeing, you know, some price targets here of $52 an XRP. But now we're going to actually start seeing that in this measurement tool, it does bring us back down into that $28 region. So let's delete that. So that actually shows you, oh, let's get it back. So this shows you that the trend-based fib tool lowers it. But then as far as the regular fib tool that we would utilize for our next extension move, and this is where we're going to look for our confluence, we now have a wave 2 move all the way down here. So instead of it being this tinier one confluencing at that $26 region, we actually come all the way down here and we get this larger one. And now our 1618 is also higher. So it's actually, my goodness, I'm just bringing all these together. There we go. Pull that one to the side. We'll say it was like right there. So there was the 618. Here was your full extension up here, but we can now potentially justify some higher extension levels for the next leg into this measurement, taking us into the 2618, which would take us into this 35 region. So our box area of, instead of being only $28 for where we were expecting this to play out to, is now increased and moved us up to this larger window where we're floating between the $25 region and the 2618 of the 35. So somewhere in here is now where we're at. So we do have a large window of 18 to 35, and we're going to kind of see how that ends up playing ultimately. So so that's kind of how these fib tools end up giving us a higher potential extension, and you can see that here now on Sigma, where we are now able to actually see more of an upside potential with us having this lower move to the downside. So all right, so hopefully that was helpful. Just a quick check-in. We got the flat that we were looking for, but man, oh man, did I not expect it to be that kind of flat. I mean, we knew it was in the cards. We were aware that this was here, but I personally just didn't think we were going to see it in 20 minutes. So, all right, so we'll check in tomorrow and see how we're grinding out of here. But we're looking for these 5 waves off the low. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk soon.